Hola Team Bio. Okay, so today's screencast is an abridged plant tree of life. This screencast is going to set you up to complete the scavenger hunt that you will be doing during your lab block this coming week. So for E block, that will be Tuesday for you, and for B block, that will be Friday for you guys. So, pay attention here, because understanding what's going on in this screencast and the structures or different forms of plants that I'm talking about are going to be important for you to be able to understand in order to complete that activity. B block especially, this is important for you because you don't want to be embarrassed in front of your grandparents who will be here on Friday the 13th. Okay, so get ready. You're going to need some different colors. We're going to draw a tree. So, start out with, not red. Let's start out with green, I guess. So, for the base of our tree, the grass. This is going to be enough space. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Okay, so, we start out at the base of our tree with green algae. Okay, so green algae are the base of our tree, and they're down here because green algae actually aren't plants. They are under the definition of the category, I guess the kingdom protist. They are single-celled eukaryotes, so they have a nucleus that do photosynthesis. But the ancestors of modern-day green algae also gave rise to the entire kingdom, the plant kingdom, that we see today. So when you look around you, the majority of the living organisms that you see are plants. They set the ecological budget for the ecosystem, and again, they collect the sun's energy and they use it to perform photosynthesis. All things that you know and love about plants. Okay, so green algae are the base of our tree, and the first branch of our tree, which you can draw like so. Oh man, this is going to be a terrible tree. So it's going to branch off like this. And in this arm, or branch of the tree, you can write non-vascular. So, and on this arm, we write vascular. So the way that a tree works is that we set up every division, so in this case every arm, every branch, is a different structure or characteristic. So everything on this side of the branch is going to not have a vascular system, and everything on this side is going to have a vascular system. What is a vascular system? Well, you all contain vascular systems. It composes your veins and arteries and capillaries. So a vascular system is basically a transport system to move nutrients and essential organic molecules around an organism's body. So many plants have a vascular system, but mosses do not. So, let's draw some mosses. So, a characteristic of mosses that you all probably would recognize, is that they're very low to the ground. Well, the reason why, or part of the reason why, mosses are so low to the ground is because they do not have a way to transport nutrients around their body. They rely solely on osmosis for the movement of fluids around their tissues. And again, these are mosses. Whoops, I spelled that wrong. M-O-S-S. E-S. Okay, so mosses are non-vascular. which means they can't rise more than a few inches above the ground. Okay, I'm gonna do this again. Okay, so then following up this branch of our tree, everything here is going to have a vascular system. Leads us to our second branch. And in this branch, we're going to talk about differences in ways that plants reproduce. So everything on this branch reproduces using spores. And an example of a type of organism that reproduces using spores are ferns. So, probably want to draw a fern. I guess something like this. So if you walk around the forest and okay, here are my ferns. If you walk around the forest and you take a fern and you kind of fondle the back of it, you'll notice that your hands get covered, oh, this is a terrible fern, in a black powder of sorts. Well, those are actually all the fern spores. So ferns have two stages of their life cycle, the sporophyte and the gametophyte stage. So when you look at a big fern structure, that's actually only one part of its life cycle. That's the diploid stage of its life cycle, the gametophyte stage. And the sporophyte stage is actually, it's much usually lower to the ground, and that's the haploid state of the life cycle. Okay, so if ferns reproduce using spores, everything else in the plant kingdom reproduces using seeds. So continuing up our tree of life, all of these organisms will have that in common. So we get to our next branch here, and this will actually be the last splitting or branching piece, so you can end your tree here. So there are two types of organisms that reproduce using seeds. The first are the gymnosperms, which, or I guess the characteristics that they all share. Well, there are a few, but we're just going to talk about one here, and that is the fact that their seeds are naked. And the other side of the branch, we'll see organisms that have cloaked seeds. And looking at our, oh shoot, there's not enough space here. I'm gonna grab this whole thing and move it down. Okay, so our naked seed plants, these are our gymnosperms. So I imagine that most of you have seen a pine tree before. Well, you might not have known this, but those pine cones are containing, or they do contain, naked seeds. Very exciting. This is my beautiful pine tree. So all evergreen trees fall in this category, the gymnosperm or naked seed variety. And you'll notice that gymnosperm has the word gym in it, and gyms are actually, gym means naked, and gyms were called gymnasiums because they were actually, it used to be that everyone worked out naked. We don't do that anymore, but we still call them gyms. Okay, so next is the cloaked seed group, and in that group are all flowering plants. So for example, the apple trees that are all flowering right now outside, those are all examples of angiosperms or flowering. How do I show? This is terrible. This might be the worst picture I've ever drawn. Maybe if I change the font size. Oh, no, I think this is just making it worse. Okay, so here's my beautiful apple tree. Maybe I'll throw it. Oh no. Okay, so here's my apple tree. You can tell it's an apple tree because it's covered in apples. So, what do I want to say about these? Angiosperms. A-N-G. So angiosperms include all flowering plants. And even trees that you might not think flower actually do. Like, for example, all the broadleaf trees that lose their leaves in the winter, these are all actually flowering plants. Like a maple tree flowers and produces a fruit and then a seed. So the tulips that are just coming up right now these days, those are another example of a flowering plant. And the daffodils that we dissected earlier in the year, again, another flowering plant. So angiosperms kind of, I guess they dominate our view of plants. Like we see them potentially most often. They're very successful, especially in the area of the world that we live in now. These tulips were better than my apple tree. But they also, I guess, I'm going to move them, put them at the base. Oh, that's nice. There we go. Okay, so angiosperms includes all flowering plants. I think that this, so maybe not the best artwork I've ever done. This tree of life is pretty ugly. But I think you get the point. A couple different types, many different types of plants, and also I think it's important for you to understand how a biological tree or like family relationship is scaffolded. Okay, that's all, and I'll see you tomorrow.